as always, starting off right on time. Actually, it's funny. Whenever I don't have you on here, Stevie, I always seem to be on time. Actually, no, PB's always late. So this time I was late. Uh, Welcome, everybody. You are here in the fandom zone, and today we're doing a special talk. And I got my good mate, my good pal here, Stevie J Reviews. Stevie, when movies open up again, or when we are able to see movies, we got to do another movie review. But today we're here to talk about, for all these fine folks waiting, all seven. Welcome, everybody. We're here to talk about the most epic bullshit that I have heard. Like, forget the U.S. presidency, okay? I'll talk about that tonight. This is on some next level bullshit. So you are the foremost, you're like the go-to person that I know of everything involving this Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation. So I want you to kind of lay out for maybe anyone who doesn't know what the score is, fill in some blanks for me because I just started following this after last night. What is this whole situation with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Why was that verdict such bullshit the other day? Oh my goodness, he's frozen in excitement. Oh no. Uh-oh. I think we have some cutting out. So, welcome while we're waiting. Welcome Ida. Good to see you. Welcome Sean B. Good to have you. Yes, the UK court system is corrupt. So from how I understand it, Johnny Depp was in a suit because they published some pretty slanderous things uh in the Sun against Johnny Depp. They called him an abuser, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. They did what the media does, and they ran a story. And this is the new media because when I was growing up as a kid, the media tended not to publish anything unless they had hard facts, hard sources, right? Concrete evidence. And what the media did is what they always do. And they published a story without verifying the facts and the truth of what the situation was. And look, in these situations where you kind of have a he said, she said kind of thing, um, that's all right, Stevie. I can vamp while we're waiting. Um, in these kinds of situations, when you have a he said, she said kind of thing, you need the a burden of proof. What up, Mighty Wolf? Yeah, I totally agree. Look, I went through the court system. Look, as a single father, and I don't get personal, but I think I need to give you guys some context. As a single father, I have my daughter right now. She's currently beautiful in the house playing her DS. But when I went for the rights to my daughter, right, the court system was in my way constantly. And I mean, here's the truth of it. As a male going through the court system, and I speak from personal experience, I could tell you tales of friends of mine's, right? They wanted to do the right thing. And we get railroaded by these laws and conditions and everything else. And it's sad because the justice system seems to be set up for men within the justice system to fail. We automatically have this crazy burden of proof, this amount of proof that we have to produce that we are, this upstanding citizen. And look, no one's perfect. All right. I've been following Johnny Depp for years now. I like Fear of Loathing in Vegas. Was the first time that I seen him. 21 Jump Street, all of that stuff. Right, I could go back that far. Johnny Depp is a great actor, and Johnny Depp is not a flawless man. He's battled with drug addiction. He's battled with alcoholism. But in this particular situation, this has nothing to do with those things. And welcome back. I vamped like a mofo. So
Hey mate, sorry, internet just dropped out right at the best time there. So Yeah, sorry about that. So you're asking me about a bit of an overview, bit of a summary of what this is all about. Well, uh, it's it's hard to talk. It's hard to sort of summarize it very quickly, um, and I'll do my best to sort of put it in a nutshell. But I see a couple of my subscribers coming through as well. Sean B and Hendrika Van Ask. G'day, how you doing? Um, so basically, the summary is this: in throughout their relationship, uh, Amber Heard was basically very, very abusive towards Johnny Depp. Now, how it all came out was in 2016, she went to get a restraining order. She went to get a restraining order, and she said that Johnny was abusing her. And at the time, they basically settled. And Johnny Depp, now this was an extortion attempt by her. Make no mistake, it was an extortion attempt. And she was successful because what she did was she got the restraining order, and she said, "Do you know what? These are all of my list of demands." And so what she did was she outlined all of these things and said, "I want 50 grand a month. I want to have full access to the Range Rover. I want to have the apartment that I live in, the penthouse still. I want my rent paid." So she created this list of demands basically, and then Johnny basically settled and said, "Okay, well, you're not getting all of that, but you can have some of this." And then there was also a payment of $7 million, right? And the only way Johnny would pay that is if she committed to give it to charity. So she said she would give it to charity. And then she also signed an NDA because Johnny's a really private kind of a guy. So she signed an NDA that she wouldn't talk about it. And she, of course, once she got what she wanted, she dropped the restraining order. So now that 2016 incident in itself, like that 1 week, you probably spend like 5 hours just talking about that one incident. But out of that, she then went on to do in 2018. She started doing things in public. She started doing op-eds for the Washington Post. She started talking about all this stuff out in the media, talking about how she'd been through this experience or that experience as a domestic violence victim. And the ACLU put her as a front person, saying that she's the spokesperson for ACLU and that she's a victim and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, so also in 2018, the Sun newspaper in London printed an article saying, basically, J.K. Rowling, how can you cast Johnny Depp, a wife beater, in Fantastic Beasts? And so along the way, there's been a whole lot of things happen, but essentially she accused him of 14. She made 14 accusations of abuse against Johnny Depp, and she gave a whole bunch of evidence, which was really no evidence at all. And so the Sun didn't know that he was a wife beater when they printed that article, and they still can't prove it today. They still cannot prove it. There is zero evidence that Johnny Depp ever touched her. He's admitted to drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff, but essentially she's made these accusations. She's made out that she's a victim. She's gone to all of these organizations to be a front person for them, saying that she's this big victim and all that kind of stuff. And so Johnny Depp, now what she didn't count on at all is that Johnny Depp would actually stand up for himself. And if anybody hasn't seen much about this case or gone into it too much, I recommend going and checking out Incredibly Average, his YouTube channel, because he's got about a 15 video playlist that has some of the best videos you'll ever see on this topic. But he basically, there's this phone call, right? So all of this stuff had gone on, and before this all came out in the public, there was this one phone call that they had, and it was recorded. And basically, Johnny Depp saying to her, we don't need to go public with this. This is going to ruin you. It's going to ruin me. It's going to be a whole lot of hurt for both of us. We don't need to do this. And she basically goes on through the whole call saying how, Johnny, you can't do this. You can't file for divorce as well. I'm filing for divorce. You can't do it as well. If you do this, it's going to ruin my career. My reputation's already tarnished. People are calling me a gold digger, blah, 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 going on all about herself. And Johnny says to her, look, we don't have to go public. We can draft a statement. We can write a letter. We can keep it all private. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt me as much. She didn't want to have any of that. She kept going on about, oh, I've got this evidence. I've got that evidence. I have to say what happened and all of this. And then he gets to a point in that phone call where he says to her, and this was the turning point. This was the turning point that she didn't expect, because what he said to her was, do you believe that I'm an abuser? And she ums and ahs and like she kind of says yes, but not really. And then he says to her, do you think you're an abuser? Have you ever abused me? And there's this long pause, and she says, I'm 115 pounds. I never knocked you over. I never overpowered you or anything. I never, did this or did that. And so it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear when you listen to that audio that, yes, of course she did abuse him, but she was just trying to, scramble and trying to come up with the right answer. And so the turning point from there was in that phone call, there was a few things that she said that really, really pissed Johnny off. And it was more about his integrity. She was saying that he'd gone public with this, or that he'd gone to, tell people about private things that she told him. Anyway, he got really, really pissed about that. And he just said to her, do you know what, Amber? I'm done. He goes, I'll see you in court. And that was really the turning point. And that was the point she didn't expect, because all of the things that were leading up to that point, she'd gone to get a restraining order and all of this stuff, but she really hadn't got, any strong evidence whatsoever. And so when Johnny said, I'll see you in court, pretty much from there, she was screwed. Now, when I say she was screwed, that I mean that in the sense of the truth and in terms of the facts. But when we see the popular narrative, that's a whole different story, because the mainstream media continue to just push out that he is a wife beater and that she's a victim. They continue to keep pushing that. And he's been fighting. The UK trial was interesting, but that wasn't a trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It was a trial with Johnny Depp versus the Sun newspaper or news group, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, interestingly. And she was.
Before you continue, Rupert Murdoch's a piece of shit. I've covered some articles here on the channel that the Sun has come up with. They are the biggest fucking rag tabloid piece of shit magazine that I wouldn't even wipe my ass with, honestly. So, I just had to get that out of the way. And one more thing, we got 16 people watching. Welcome. If you like this, hit that like button. And if you're new, check out my channel. Subscribe if you like it. Anyways, sorry, shameless promo out of the way, but I just wanted to piggyback because you said a lot of things. And I wanted to say, this is, there's two separate things going on, right? There's a fight for Johnny Depp's image and the way she's trying to destroy him on one front. And then there's this perception that the media is pushing out. And here's the thing. This goes back to what me, you, Pop Culture PB, Perp Minded all talk about on our channel, is this narrative that's been going since fucking 2016 that specifically targets white males in the media and degrades them. And God forbid, you could have her on fucking camera beating the shit out of Johnny Depp. And the media they feel compelled to spin it that it's the white, straight male, he's the evil guy, he did something, she is this defenseless, helpless victim. And two things. One, this sets women back. Two, this makes people who have real abuse situations. There are women in America, there are women in other countries that are dealing with assholes who are abusing them. And now you got this privileged, fucked up individual who's making these claims that aren't true. This is terrible on two fronts, because she's destroying an innocent man's reputation and she's degrading the real issues that women in domestic violence situations face. And it's all a big fucking public circus. And it really upsets me because I've known women. I come from the military. I'm a single father. I've seen that end, and I've seen my reputation take beatings. And this is just within the family, right? Because I had to go through court and all of that stuff. I've
Hmm.
seen what it's done to,
Yeah.
women in that situation. I've seen
Yeah.
women that come from these abuse situations, and it's fucking terrible and horrible. And this selfish bitch is degrading all of these women and their actual issues. This whole movement is doing the exact opposite of what they're doing. And the Sun should be fucking disgusted with themselves. And from what I gathered, this whole thing is rigged because he wasn't going up against Amber Heard. He was going up against the establishment, essentially, the newspaper, the media. He was attacking the conglomerate, and of
Yeah.
course, they rule. But continue. I'm sorry. I got into
No,
I
no.
got into a
Hey, mate.
tangent
Mate, it's your
there.
channel. It's your channel. No dramas. And I see some more people coming in, I know, as well. Carolyn Creswell, Sylvan, Moonshade. Great to see you guys as well. Johnny Depp fan as well. Awesome. Yeah, so you're right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said, mate. I agree with everything you said. And that is really, I guess, that's the theme of all of it. And, the other point I saw there in the chat as well was, which is a great point, is that neither of these two, neither Johnny nor Amber, have either pressed charges against the other. So there's no actual charges pressed against either one. Now, that might seem unimportant, I guess, but it really is important because, particularly from Amber's standpoint, because she's the one who's made all these 14 accusations, right? And she said that he's done all of these heinous things. And I get that, there's definitely victims out there who don't want to speak up and feel afraid to go to the police or feel afraid to speak up at all. But she's not that person. She has clearly not been afraid to speak up at all because she's gone to the media. She's gone to several different outlets to speak about it. And she was the front person for the ACLU. So, being afraid of coming forward is not an issue that she faces like many other victims do. So it is an important thing to talk about. And so with the Sun, I guess, like I said, I could probably talk about this for hours, but to start with the Sun and that case over there, essentially what the Sun had to prove, because Johnny was suing them. So what they had to prove was that what they printed in that article was substantially true. Now, there's a whole lot of information to find out. Too much for this video, but what they had to prove was a certain standard, right? So let's just say it was substantially true, and they can't do that. So, and they still didn't do that in the trial. But the interesting part about this now is, after we got the verdict the other day from Justice I'm on the take Nickel, is that he was completely biased towards Amber Heard, completely biased. So I read through the 129-page verdict, so the official verdict that the judge wrote, and it's completely biased. And what I mean by that is not just that he loves Amber Heard or anything like that. What it means is he disregards evidence from Johnny Depp's side, saying that it's not viable. Basically, it's not relevant, or it's not viable to the case or to the decision. But the exact same type of evidence that Amber Heard puts forward, he accepts that and says, yeah, that is the truth. So all of the witnesses for Johnny Depp, he basically disregards them because they're friends of Johnny Depp. He says they have a vested interest in Johnny winning the case. And so all likelihood is that they were just out to support Johnny no matter what. So all of their testimony is irrelevant. Then when it comes to Amber Heard and all of her friends and her sister and all these other people, the judge says, yep, no, I accept that. I accept all of that testimony. Even though in his own words throughout the verdict that he gives, in his own words, he says, Ms. Heard has changed her statement a number of times to clarify certain points or make updates. And so and what he means by that is she added whole stories, whole chunks to her statements over 5 or 6 times. She changed it. So he says that, and then he says, and I accept everything that she said. So he in one breath says that she's a liar, and then in the next breath says, I accept everything that she says, that as as the truth. And so when you read through that document, you can just see the bias. And there's a really good video done by Lost Beyond Pluto. She's a lawyer, and she broke it all down really, really well, going through all of the judge's verdict. And I guess the summary is that he injected his own opinions. He injected his own made-up stories. This is the judge. He injected his own made-up stories into the verdict. And where there was any gaps of evidence or knowledge, he just assumed and said, well, because Johnny did drugs and drank alcohol, the assumption is, yes, he is an abuser and he's guilty. So it's an extremely, extremely biased verdict. And, one thing that's important to note, though, is it was Depp versus the Sun. So Amber Heard was just a witness in that case. She wasn't on trial herself. It was just she was there as a witness providing testimony. A whole lot of BS, by the way. But moving over to the Virginia trial, which is happening next year, that's going to be a different ball game. It's going to be a very, very different ball game, because that trial is Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard directly. So he's suing her for defamation as well.
I'm going to throw something in too, because we're talking, and I know everyone's fear because of how this case turned out, but we're talking now UK versus the US. And I just want to remind people, if you don't know about the 90s, grew up in the 90s, I'm a 90s kid. If OJ can get away with murder, I think Johnny Depp can pull it off. And let's all be real now. It's been years. We know OJ did it, but he had a team of great lawyers. And I think that I feel like bringing it back to the U.S. puts things on the even ground, because Depp was really handicapped in the U.K. I'm going to use a sports analogy because it's the best. He was on the team's home field. They had home field advantage. Okay. They had people, I'm sure, that were paid off 110%. People with their own biases, and then add in the politics. And spoiler alert, the UK has become the most fucking SJW hub ever. They destroyed Doctor Who. Fuck you. No, I'm sorry, gotta bring that up. But these are the people who have been injecting and adopting the worst of our political format, of our entertainment format. And I really feel like the SJW epidemic, what it is here in the US is 20 times worse over in the UK, has just got rampant with this shit. So Johnny really wasn't on an even playing field. He wasn't in a place, because let me just break it down for all of you guys. You know what it is when someone, you know what they call that when someone tells a story, right? And they swear on a Bible, but then they're conveniently missing chunks of the story, and they go back and they change that. You know what they call that? That's called fucking perjury. That's what that's called. You have perjured yourself in a court of law, and the judge should be ashamed of themselves if they're any kind of real fucking judge, because they would have called it a perjured statement. I mean, I've been through enough of the court system, not saying I've done illegal shit, but I've seen things. I went for my own case. And if you even misspeak, okay, you misspeak something, or you don't quite remember a fact right, that is very technically perjury, because you gave a statement under oath. The little fucking receptionist lady typed it in, okay, so it's on the record. And then you went back through and said, oh, my bad, I didn't quite remember it that way. Let me readjust, right? And the judge, in a sense, this whole thing should be thrown out in a sense if this was a U.S. court, because the judge in his statement alone has showed a bias. And the judge showing a bias towards one side or the other is a conflict of interest. Like, I know my shit when it comes to this. I've done... on the entertainment side of what we do, I've dealt with a lot of this. And there has been cases where people have lost for even slipping up on a date. I mean, am I wrong? I'm sure you know a couple of cases and things like that where people, okay, the perfect outlier for this, right? Take the Oj Simpson trial, right? What were a couple of big key things? Now, when you watch that trial, it looks like that the prosecution has a slam dunk case. This is essentially you are handing someone a golden goose, right? This was supposed to be a case that is closed and shut. But what happened to things, right? The LA police, they mishandled evidence. Some of the statements didn't jibe. And what happened? Someone got away with murder, you know?
Yeah.
The famous if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Because of weather conditions and the way they handled the evidence, it ruined the evidence. Okay. All of these things, if the judge in that trial
Mm.
would have came out and said, yeah, I'm a huge OJ fan, they would have had to remove him because he's
Mm.
showing a bias towards one side or the other. And it's not about your personal bias. It's about the fucking facts that are being presented. And the judge is supposed to be the incorruptible force. He's supposed to be a man who doesn't give a shit about uh his personal feelings for Amber Heard, whether or not he has a fucking pinup of her in his fucking judges thing, or whether he has a pinup of Johnny Depp in his favorite movie, right?
Mm.
That doesn't matter. He is the guy who says, okay, I don't care about your fame. I don't care about who you are. I'm just going to listen to the facts. I'm going to take them all in from both sides. And then I'm going to assess out what is bullshit and what is, relevant evidence. And I
Yeah.
mean, there's tapes and concrete things. I mean, even if you take out their material witnesses and you say, okay, let's just say they say, okay, Johnny Depp's friends and family, they could be for him, right? Amber Heard's friends and family, they could be for her because, it's family, whatever. But they have video recordings. That is a person's voice that you can't, unless, you're fucking CIA, you're not altering it, nothing. That is a recorded conversation in that person's words, admitting
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. It,
You
it really is horrible, mate. Like it's disgusting what's happened. I mean, and like, yeah, you're right. Like it's in terms of the recordings and everything. I'm glad you brought that up because in the UK trial, the judge simply ignored that evidence and said that it wasn't relevant because her testimony under oath was more truthful, more believable because she was under oath than the recording of her saying that she was hitting Johnny Depp. So he disregarded all of that audio evidence and said it's irrelevant because I believe what she's saying under oath more than what I believe she's saying in that recording. So he basically did just disregard all the evidence there. And the other the other point to note, and you kind of touched on it, is yes, she did have a connection to the judge. Okay, it's like maybe twice removed, but there's a connection between her and the judge that is undeniable, and you can't really look at that and say, oh yeah, no, that's fine, that's all above board, because um you know it exists and it's just too much of a coincidence. And so the other thing that you talked about a little bit before about the what he was up against and up against the newspaper and things like that. So let's not forget that Rupert Murdoch is one of the biggest news conglomerate owners in the world, and he's extremely powerful. Now, he owns the Sun newspaper, and not only that, there's another element to this as well, because who did Amber Heard hook up with? I think personally, while she was still with Johnny, but after Johnny Depp, Elon Musk. And who's on the board of Tesla with Elon Musk? James Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch's son. So there's all of these dodgy connections there in the background, and it's all too much coincidence for me. So the judge was just ridiculous, and I think that when we go to Virginia, we're going to see a much better approach, hopefully, because it's going to be a jury trial. It's not going to be a single judge making the decision. We're going to get actual people to make the decision, and there's going to be a whole lot more evidence admitted to court because it's relevant to a case between Johnny and Amber, but wasn't necessarily relevant between Johnny Depp and the son. So we're going to see a whole lot more evidence admitted, and Johnny Depp's lawyers are doing a bloody great job at at bringing all this out. And yeah, I just went through the other day and talked through one of the documents, the court documents that that Ben Chu, Johnny's lawyer, submitted, and he's given them hell, and it's awesome. So I see one of the comments there in the chat from Hendrik saying, "I smell a gust of musk." that's something I've been saying whenever something's a little bit odd, or something's a little bit, seems like something dodgy is going on. There must be a gust of musk coming through and influencing it all. So yeah,
I wanted to bring up this comment here. Hopefully, and if you come here on the Fandom Zone, you'll know my pronunciations are slightly off. Kryptonian, I apologize. But Sonolia Beasley, did I say that right? Yes,
I think so.
Nailed it. Says, yep, they used recordings of John Gotti, and that's how they nailed him. That is a beautiful example. The John Gotti case, they had hours of taped conversations, and you're talking about I come from New York, so shout out for referencing that. And you're talking about a man who was pretty untouchable. They couldn't get him because he was never in a room when the crimes were committed. There were hintings that he was on some kills, but he got to a point where he could just hire people out. And yeah, they couldn't physically tie him to everything, but what got him is those taped conversations that he had. And typically in a case like this, taped recordings is the best form of evidence because it's not something you can dispute. And shout out to PB, hopefully when you watch this, but PB says that there is opinions and then there's facts, right? And opinions are things we could say. Like me and you can say Amber Heard is a bitch. That's our opinion. But a fact would be she talked on the phone and insinuated heavily that she had abused Johnny Depp. She had even come out and talked about setting him up, if I'm not mistaken, in one of those recordings. She had made references to he should play ball, these things. She was even crazy to the point because I was listening to Mahler, and he had all of the recordings and he was playing them all, and there were even ones where she was like, "Oh, I want you back," and all of this. And here's the thing: now, if Johnny Depp is this monster, right? If he's just beating the shit out of her every day, and he's just this animal, right? He's horrid, and she has a chance to get all of this money and and separate herself from this evil man. Then why is she on tape trying to negotiate him coming back and going, "Oh, well, you left the room and I just get so angry, and you didn't want to resolve everything." It's fucking mind-blowing.
Look, those recordings are the best evidence ever. I mean, she really she really brought herself undone because, and I say that in a sense of the actual truth. In a public sense or in a legal sense, so far she's not become undone, but she will be. But the key out of those recordings is, so one of their therapy sessions that was recorded is where she says, "I can't promise I won't get violent again. I can't promise I won't get physical again. I just get so angry." That's what she said to him. And her biggest issue with him was nothing to do with abuse. Nothing. Her biggest issue with him was that he would leave during arguments. So she would say to him, I get so angry. Like when you leave, it just doesn't resolve anything. And then Johnny would say, "Yeah, but I'm not going to stay when you get physical. I can't be here when you're getting violent. I can't do that." And she would say, "Well, we're never going to resolve anything then because, like, what are you, a big baby? You just have to run away." And he's like, "Well, yeah, when you get physical, I'm going to leave." And she keeps going and saying, I can't promise. I can't promise I'm going to not be physical. I can't promise that I'm not going to do that. And in the other audio recording, and there's so many to go through, but um, in another recording, she says, he says to her, you hit me when, one of these incidents happened, one of these arguments, you hit me. And she admits it. She says, yeah, I hit you. I hit you. I didn't effing deck you, but I hit you. You weren't punched. I might have hit you, but I didn't, you weren't punched. And he's like, you hit me with a closed fist. You hit me in the jaw. And she she admits it on tape. But apparently that's not good enough for a courtroom. That's not good enough for the judge in the UK to say, oh, okay. At a minimum, even if he didn't say, oh, geez, it looks like Amber's the abuser. At a minimum, all he had to do was say, I don't believe what she's saying, as far as Johnny Depp being the abuser. It's all right there. And then there's the TMZ video as well. And the TMZ video is really important because that was used as a big piece of evidence to say, so basically what she said, and I don't know if you've seen it, but basically he's mad, right? He's really mad, and he's slamming cupboard doors, and he's, kicking fridges and stuff.
Yeah, typical guy shit.
Yeah, but he'd had some really bad news, and it had nothing to do with Amber Heard. He just had some really bad news. Anyway, he was mad. And so what does she do? She doesn't go over and say, try and be an actual good wife and say, how are you? Are you okay? Like, what can I do to help or anything? No, she gets her phone out and starts recording. And so Johnny is doing all this. And eventually, she's trying to provoke him in the recording as well. She says, oh, you're going to drink all of that bottle of wine? Have you drunk that whole bottle today? And then he sees the phone that's recording. He picks it up. And what you see in the original released version to the media was he picks up the phone and starts like having a go at her, right? And then it cuts off. And what she told everyone was that he threw the phone at her and then went on to violently assault her. But what came out a couple of months ago was the actual video, the full video. And what does it show? He finds the phone, he grabs it, he throws it in the bin, and he walks away. And she gets pissed at him for walking away, and then she smirks and laughs into the camera, basically. So there was no abuse there. There was nothing at all that Johnny did in that instance, in that video, that was anything abusive whatsoever. Now, I get that some people who are abusers will be angry like that. They'll slam doors, that it's an intimidation tactic. Understand that. But Johnny never did that. And he walked away like he always did. And she was quite happy to go out to the media and use that as evidence, that TMZ video as evidence that, yep, Johnny's an abuser. And it was only recently that we saw the full footage. But again, still not used, still not taken into consideration that she might have lied. And, to me, the fact that she smirked at the end of that video and kind of laughed into the camera that is not the behavior of somebody who is being abused. That is not the behavior of somebody who's being abused. And, so I've been covering this now for a few months. And one of the things that I've seen happen is a lot of domestic violence victims have reached out to me, talking about all of this kind of stuff and talking about this case. And then, I've gone on to also talk about, I've had victims on my streams sharing their stories and what they've gone through. And every single one of them has said that Amber Heard does not behave at all like an abuse victim would. In any case, in any of the incidents that she talks about, in any of the audio recordings, in any of the footage, she does not behave like a domestic violence victim at all. So, to me, that just says volumes about it. And that's why Johnny's got so much support as well, because there's all of those real victims out there who see the truth and they see the injustice as well with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. This was something I highlighted earlier. Welcome everybody who's here. We got 21 people watching, but this is something that I highlighted here too. It's really sad, especially you bringing that up, that actual people, victims of abuse, there's this media circus that is downplaying a serious issue. And look, we're both guys here. We both are in relationships or have had bad relationships, right? You get angry, it happens. All right. I've slammed my fair share of doors and ridiculous stuff that guys do. But there's a difference between getting upset and hitting a piece of furniture and getting
Hmm.
upset and turning around and hitting someone else. And I mean, I've dealt with some crazy situations. I had a girl one time throw a frying pan at my head. I mean, so there's this thing that's never talked about, and it's really annoying, especially in this situation, and it should be brought to light because we don't ever really see the guy's perspective. There's this, the media talks about this stigma of women not being listened
Mm.
to, but what about the stigma of men not being listened to or taken into account, right? Like this can't happen to a guy. And you could go back to remember Frankie Muniz? Yeah, guys, Malcolm in the Middle. He was in an abusive relationship. That
Mm.
woman used to beat the shit out of him, right? She hit him over the head with stuff. But the media doesn't talk about that. Gary Coleman,
Yeah.
very suspicious with his death. There have been guys in situations that have been goaded, that have been kind of lured into these arguments, and then then they're the ones who are bad. Okay, Mike Tyson and Robin Givens, right? Look at that situation. Mike Tyson was dragged through the mud, and it's not to say he didn't do his own fair share of things, but as far as that case goes, she came out talking about how she was going to get his money and everything else.
Mm.
She dragged that man's reputation through the mud. She said he did all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, 90% of it was made up. Did he get mad? Yeah. Did he curse and
Mm.
swear? Yeah. Did he physically push her? A couple of times. But did he out and out beat her? Nah. And it came out later that he didn't do those things. And it
Mm.
destroyed this man's career. And we're seeing the same thing happening with Johnny Depp. Like, did he hit her? Where's the photos of her bruises? Where's the photos of her black eye, of this stuff? Let me give you another case. And this is great because it's kind of weird. I know all these, but anyways, Chris Brown and Rihanna, right? Did we not see a photo of Rihanna where you were like, oh yeah, he beat her?
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
literally a shot of her with a black eye, scraped up face, and she came out with that photo immediately and showed everyone. And she's like, "Hey, this guy beat the bejesus out of me, right? He pushed her out of a moving car,
Yeah.
like."
Yeah, it's obvious. That's a great example because you see that evidence and you go, yeah, well, that's pretty clear. But when you look at what Amber Heard put forward, I mean, so this is really the key, and I'm glad you brought this up, right, with the photos and stuff, because she did give photos. Absolutely, she gave photos. The problem is that the bruises aren't actually real because there's about 15 witnesses who saw her the day after, the day after that, the day after that, and she said that she was hit so hard that she felt like her eye popped out. And so there was people who saw her all of that next week, and not a single one, except for her very close friends and her sister, said that she had any marks on her. So we're talking about the security guards, we're talking about the doorman, we're talking about the next door neighbors, we're talking about every other single person that she ran into, and also the James Corden show she was on. She was on the James Corden show the very next day, not a single mark on her face. And we've talked about this to no end, that no amount of makeup will cover up injuries like that. And so she is just completely full of it. She's completely lying, and everything that she submitted as evidence, there's issues with it everywhere, everywhere. Now, another key point too to make as well, and there's so many, is that so I'm talking about May 21st, 2016, right? This is sort of when it all came to a head, when she that week went to get a restraining order. And so May 21st, the police arrived. Okay, so her and Johnny were having an argument, and the police were called. So she, and it's so infuriating, but the police arrived, right? They didn't know it was Johnny Depp's house. They didn't even know who Amber Heard was because, let's face it, she's a shit actress. So they didn't have any idea who she was. They got a call. Someone had called 911, and it was one of her friends that called, by the way, and it was a domestic violence call, right? So they turned up, and I've read through their statements, the police statements, and you know what they found? They found exactly nothing. They found not a single thing. So there was no sign of any struggle. There was nothing out of place in any of the penthouses. There was no marks on Amber Heard herself. She was crying, but there was nothing, no indication for them to proceed any further with any investigation. So, and the important thing with that is that they're obligated to investigate. If they think that there's anything, any reason that she has been abused or there's been violence or there's been a crime, they have to investigate. But they didn't, because there was nothing out of place, and they walked around the penthouses twice and saw nothing. And so they essentially gave her a business card and said, look, if you need anything, give us a call. But the other important part is she didn't offer anything to them. They were asking her, do you want to come over here to the side? Do you want to go in private and you can tell us what happened? Or, can you tell us what's been going on? Anything at all? She gave them exactly zero information, not a thing. Now, again, that is not strange for domestic violence victims to not want to open up and talk and things like that. But for someone like her, who is quite public and happy to go out and go to the media and things like that, it stands to reason that, and if she was planning all of this, she really stuffed it up, because she should have made a police report. But she didn't file a police report, because then there would have been an investigation, and the investigation would have revealed there was nothing going on. But what she wanted to do was get that business card off to police officers, take a photo of the business card and say the police had to be called because XYZ. That's the other thing as well. In the UK, the judge in the UK completely disregarded the testimony of 2 LAPD police officers and accepted her word over what they said. So 2 sworn police officers of the LAPD and their sworn statements, he disregarded all of that and just went with, oh yeah, I believe Amber.
Yeah,
That's essentially what he said.
And you know what's funny about that? I like to point out something too. And my greatest point of reference is the Oj Simpson trial, because that's an extreme where you see years and patterns of abuse that it is ignored and leads to that tragic circumstance, right? So let's go to a call that they had there, right? OJ's house got several calls, okay? There was the LAPD had gone over and investigated. There were photos of Nicole Simpson with black eye marks on her arms, things like that. She had never, though, come out in the public and said anything, right? She'd never gone to the papers. I mean, mainly because she was terrified of the guy. But to your point, she didn't go and do what Amber Heard did and take pictures and stuff like that because she was terrified of him. And if Amber Heard is playing this like Johnny Depp's this like crazed monster, right? I would think it'd be the inverse, where she would be terrified to bring this stuff up. And the more you dig into this and the more that you read into it, you start to see that, her patterns are not the patterns of someone who's going through domestic abuse or who's a victim. They're patterns of someone trying to play the victim. And look, here on the channel, I've talked about it a ton of times with these people playing the victim card, right? And this is downright, plain and simple, her playing the victim to get attention. Because here's the smart thing. We are in the middle of this ridiculous Me Too movement. And I'm not saying for the people it helps, but for what Hollywood has turned it into, right? And she knows that they are going to automatically listen to everything she's got to say. And I'm not talking about the police. I'm talking about the media, the newspapers, the bias companies. They're not going to hear or even at times look at evidence anymore. They're going to hear a female say she's abused and run that story. And, oh, it's Johnny Depp. So now we got to point out these white males who are asserting their dominance and the patriarchy, right? God, I hate that fucking saying. But welcome. I have 30 people watching. Wow, 31. Welcome everybody. Thank you. If you're liking this discussion, hit that like. If you're new, throw me a sub if you like the content. I'll be talking about something else infuriating later tonight, politics. So that'd be fun. Stevie, on a side note, thank God you don't got to go through American politics. You'd be on top of this, I think you just have a
Yeah,
meltdown.
I think you're right, because I tell you this, going through this stuff is draining enough. I'm quite happy to do it. I'm really I've become quite passionate about it, but it's yeah, it's definitely draining. Politics, no, thank you. You can have that. I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah, I
but
hear
there's
Mighty
a
Wolf. Yep, we're gonna be talking about voter fraud tonight. So come back to my channel at 10 o'clock. But no, I want to dive into something really quick because I'm trying to keep this in an hour. And there's something big, and I heard the people in the chat talking about this,
Mhm.
and this is what got me involved. I don't know if you guys knew or anybody who's watching. I'm a huge DC fan, and DC is owned by Warner Bros. Um, the first blow I took was this ridiculous Snyder cut. Come back for that. Zack Snyder lied to you. These guys are crazy. Anyways, that's another stream for another day. Okay. So the first hit I took was the Snyder cut. And then I'm perusing for my late night talks last night. You've seen the articles I bring up and stuff. And I see this thing with Johnny Depp stepping down or being forced down the article, and it's a vanity article. And for once, they actually do a good job. They word it how it is, and that is Johnny Depp forced to exit Fantastic Beasts. And look, these bastards at the WB can put whatever kind of spin they want to put on it. Okay, they can polish the turd up however they want to, but the facts is they are forcing him to step down based on allegations. And now, my friend, here is the biggest crock of shit about this is if you didn't have two properties that you are in charge of, right? Say it's Warner Bros. And like somebody else, right? Amber Heard's off working here, Warner Bros. Is working there. And I can go, okay, Warner Bros. Is taking a hit with, DC, some of the stuff there. They don't want to rock the boat. They have the amazing Joker. They're trying to stay on a streak. I could understand that. But when you have essentially a couple and one's working on one project and the other one's working on the other project, I would think for symmetry, you would want to say, hey, Johnny, Amber, let me get you guys to the side. Look. We're going to ask Johnny to step down. And I think it's only fair that you take a step back too. We don't got to cut you out because the movie's already shot. Aquaman was already in production way before Fantastic Beasts 3. So we'll keep in whatever scenes you have. We'll maybe do some editing magic, scale it back. But until you guys sort this out, we need you guys both to step off of your projects and get to the truth, right? That seems like the logical thing to do. But what do? They pressure one side of their franchise and they keep her on the other. And look, I heard the bullshit DC said they're scaling her role back, they're doing a test or whatever else. But just bringing these up, the amount of support I've seen from even the other side, who I argue with all the time, nobody is on Amber Heard's side in this one. Nobody, even those fucking wacky weirdos on the internet, can see that this is terrible what she's doing. And it's disgusting that Johnny Depp is asked to step up. And look, if you see my reviews, one of the first reviews I ever did was how terrible the Grimes Grindelwald was. I can't stand that movie. Like the first Fantastic Beasts, don't like the second one, okay? But I did highlight one of the things that saved that movie for me was Johnny Depp's performance. And my problem was he wasn't in the film enough for the way they marketed it. And I went on to say, I look forward to him being in number 3 when we get to actually see his power, because we didn't get to see it in the first one, right? The last battle was where you kind of saw how powerful he was, but he didn't really have much to do. And then they ask him to step down from the movie. This is the biggest mistake. And look, Disney doesn't surprise me. Fuck Disney. If you guys come on my channel, just watch one of my videos. You guys know, get a handle of what I feel about Disney. Okay, don't even get me started on Mulan and all of that. Disney doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is Warner Bros. Has been under enough fire with the other stuff that they've done. The Snyder Cut, removing Gone with the Wind from HBO Max, all this other shit, right?
Yeah.
You would think the last thing they want to do is divide fans. But here we are. Here we are, Stevie. Amber Heard
Yeah.
is still going to be, she got added to the Justice League Snyder Cut. Stevie, they didn't even scale her down. Zach was like, oh yeah, Johnny Depp's a douchebag. Come on over. Do this Justice League cut, man. 4
It's just,
hours.
yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's just, I guess, what's the word? Double standard is the word. Like it's the epitome of a double standard, because on one hand you're saying to Johnny Depp, look, okay, there hasn't actually been any charges laid against either of you. Nobody's been found guilty of assault in court. But you know what? We're gonna get rid of you, Johnny, and we're gonna keep Amber. I mean, and if you want to talk about it from a commercial standpoint, it's ridiculous, because you've got Johnny Depp, one of the biggest superstars of all time, and one of the best actors of all time, I'm happy to say, versus Amber Heard, who is pretty rubbish. Like she's a terrible actress, really. And so commercially, even if you just want to look at it from a commercial standpoint, to get rid of Johnny Depp doesn't make any sense. And I think the public perception, I think Warner Brothers is so out of touch here, because Warner Brothers, they've all, most of these contracts, right? Most of these contracts have a morals clause, right? Which says basically, if you do something immoral, your contract is done. Yeah, and you're out. And so I get that. Legally, they can do it. But the fact is that Johnny Depp is innocent. That's one fact. The other fact is that he is far, far, far more supported and more loved than Amber Heard is. And I mean, I don't know if you saw Twitter yesterday, but Twitter was blowing up
on fire. It was on fire
with petitions. Okay, so to give you an example, right? So there's the original petition to have Amber Heard removed from Aquaman 2 was made by a lady called Jeannie, who I interviewed on my channel as well, which is really cool. But that petition has ticked over 500K now. And not just that, but in the last week, we've seen it go up by nearly 10K. Like, it was trickling along. It was doing really well, but it was just sort of slowly trickling along. And then when the verdict came out on Monday, it just blew up again, and added like another 10K to the petition. So all of that support is there for Johnny Depp, and it will hit them in the hip pocket. It will hurt them. It will absolutely hurt them. So and I see that, Moonshade. Yeah, you're right. Amber Turd can't act. That's for sure. She cannot act at all. But yeah,
and I wanted to point out something else too, just while we're on the acting part. Here's the thing. A lot of people brought up Disney, and look, I'm going to break all of your hearts now. They had planned on getting rid of Johnny Depp. They want Margot Robbie because they're making an all-female pirate. This is a different issue. This just gives Disney a reason. They were already doing that. If you guys watch my channel, I read an article called "The Female-Led Pirates Soft Reboot." So they're going to have Margot Robbie play that part. And look, Margot Robbie's a great actress. I've got nothing against her. I quite enjoy her in several different roles. She's definitely way better than Amber Heard. This was more of them revitalizing a brand. And I'm in no way defending Disney, because if you've been on my channel, I cannot stand them. I'm a Star Wars fan. We all know what happened there. I'm a fan of Marvel, and we all know what's happening behind the scenes there. So I'm not defending Disney. Their theme parks, Bob and Bob, all of them can leap off of a cliff. But to Disney's credit, they just took advantage of a situation that they were already phasing Johnny Depp out of that series. Warner Brothers had him locked in a contract, which is a huge
Mm.
difference. He was contracted for 3 movies, possibly with an extension. I read the deal uh, with an extension because this was supposed to lead kind of into where the Harry Potter franchise is. So this is a huge difference between what Warner Brothers is doing and what Disney is doing. Disney is cutting their losses, which, as messed up as it is, that's actually a good business move on their end because they have nothing invested. They wanted to reboot the franchise anyways. Um, Warner Brothers had an investment. They were backing a horse,
Mm.
and they chose to back the wrong horse. They think that Amber Heard draws Aquaman. I got news for you. Jason Momoa draws Aquaman. All those women didn't go to see Aquaman for Amber Heard. I can tell you right now, she got the males
No.
in the seat. But if you look at the demographic, and am I wrong about this? The demographic for Aquaman, it is ever, the most ever viewed by female audiences. It
Yeah.
something like the demographic was like 50% was the female audience for that movie, and it damn sure was not Amber Heard they were watching. So you don't need her. You keep Jason Momoa with no shirt on, you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
Showing his
Oh, mate.
tattoos.
I've been saying the same thing. I've been saying the same thing. Like, no one saw Aquaman for Amber Heard. It was all Jason Momoa's pecs. That's what they went to see. Um, but like when you talk about Johnny Depp as well, he's the opposite of that. As in, he's a great actor, and he is an investment because you look at everything he's done. You look at all the films that he's done, and like some of them are better than others, and I don't necessarily like them all. But I think in all of them, he does an excellent job. He's a great actor, and particularly with roles like Captain Jack Sparrow and with other roles that he's done, he pretty much makes them his own. Like even Grindelwald, he makes them his own. So when other actors would maybe come in and try and replace him, it's really hard to do because he works so hard at the character to give it its own flavor and give it his real take on it. So when other people would try and do it, I mean, imagine somebody trying to do Captain Jack Sparrow. You would just be like, no, this is a joke. If you're not having Johnny Depp, there is no Pirates of the Caribbean. It doesn't work.
I mean, when you think about that movie, right? Captain Jack Sparrow became a household name simply because of Johnny Depp's portrayal and the way you didn't know if he actually knew what he was doing or if it was all luck, and the
Yeah.
way that they played up that angle. And you got to give the directors and the actor the credit for that because Johnny Depp gave him that kind of, he knew exactly what that character was, and then the director gave him good direction. And me and you have had great in-depth movie breakdowns where we talk about these things, which, by the way, we got to do another one, but that's a sidebar. Anyways, um, we talk about this all the time, and there's 2 components to making a film. There's the person behind the camera and writing the script and things like that, and shooting and getting the right shots and the right direction. And then there's the actor who takes what he
Mm.
is given and interprets it. And Johnny Depp is a master at interpreting material and pulling something out of it you would never see. And you can see this across any of his movies that he's ever done, even the ones you don't like. Look, I did not like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I thought that was a terrible, absolutely god-awful movie. Johnny quite honestly scared the shit out of me in that movie. But you can't say that it wasn't a unique take, that it wasn't his own interpretation and Tim Burton's, oh God, wildly imaginative, I'm doing
Yeah.
air quotes, interpretation. He made that character his own. That
Mm.
Stephen King, one of my favorites and I think underrated performances was that movie Secret Window. The
Mm-hmm.
way he played that was just
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, and the reveal you get at the end of what the secret window is and all of that. But he really engages you in what would have otherwise been a pretty boring movie. But him and the
Yeah.
way he plays what is real, what isn't real, and then the big reveal at the end and how they lead up to it. That takes talent. And you know what? Anyone in the chat, if you know this, name one other thing Amber Heard has been in. Because I honestly didn't know her until Aquaman. I had no clue who she was. Had no clue. I'm like, who's this hot redhead? And then, okay, she got more famous off of this than anything else I think she's ever done. I can't name. Okay, if you've been on my channel, you know how I feel about Brie Larson. I hate her with a passion. I would honestly run her over with a bus. No disclaimer, honestly. If I had a bus that said the world is yours, I would run that bitch over. But one thing I can't take away from Brie Larson is I know her. She is a good actress. Whether you like her wacky statements or not, outside, she's done great performances. She's proven herself. What's that chick from the Hunger Games, right? She's another good actress. You
Jennifer
know,
Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, right? I hate her politics. I hate what she says outside the camera. But she too has been in a lot of independent films. She's an actress. She really acts. She puts her heart into a role. Now, Amber Heard, what has she done? What has she done that gives her the right to think she's this big star, or that Warner Bros. Sees that we don't? What, she had an average character? I mean, really, think about Aquaman.
Well,
if you take her out, what does she add?
Oh, nothing. You insert.
You can still do that whole thing.
Yeah, insert generic actress here. Like that's all you'd have to do. I mean, yeah, nobody knows who she is. Nobody knew who she was until she was with Johnny Depp, really. I mean, and then Aquaman gave her a bit more fame. Jennifer Lawrence, yeah, I agree, is fantastic. She's a really, really good actress. But yeah, I mean, nobody knew who Amber Heard was. They're only knowing who she is now because of this high profile case and everything. She keeps getting, her head in the newspaper, and she she won't be in anything else. I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, for now she's kept in Aquaman too, but studios will work out. They'll figure out, and maybe it'll be once the public, I guess the public circus around this dissipates. They'll figure out that, you know what, she's actually really not worth it. She's not worth the trouble. She's not worth the drama because she's no good at all. And yeah, thanks for reminding me, Hendrika, in the chat that she comes to us filming for Aquaman 2 in Australia. Sorry, Amber, no dice. Because if you come here, we're going to put handcuffs on you for perjury. So,
and Stevie will be leading that.
Oh, I would love to meet her at the airport and put those cuffs on her myself. Yeah, so I mean, one part of me hopes that she is still in Aquaman 2 and that she does come to Australia, but I doubt she'll do that because she knows she's in trouble here if she ever comes back. So, but I can hold out hope. I can hold out hope that one day she will come here and I'll arrest her. But yeah, she hasn't been in anything, and Johnny Depp, like, he owns it. And whatever he does, whatever role he has, he owns it. He reminds me. No, sorry, this isn't the right way to phrase it. I'm gonna say that differently. He doesn't remind me of Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise is an example of another example of somebody I don't really like personally. He's a bit of a douchebag, if you ask me, but he continues to make fantastic films, and he's a great actor. So I'm really torn with Tom Cruise because I'm like, like he hasn't really done anything to me or to anyone else really, but he's just a bit of a D-bag. And so I am happily watch all of his films because he always nails it. He always does a great job. But with Johnny Depp, and I didn't realize this until I started covering this case, but I've always appreciated his acting ability, always. But I didn't realize just how much of a good guy he is as well. There's so many things that you find out about Johnny Depp that are positive that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about at all.
No, they don't want to cover that because they'll make him look like a human being. And it's a shame because people like, and I covered this on my channel, but people like him, you got Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves is another one, Chris Pratt, all of these guys who are really great guys. And, they get slammed in the media and they get hit with this nonsense, and they're the nicest people in the world. that I
Yeah.
could honestly see myself, even if I didn't like any of their movies, sitting down and having a beer with them and getting an autograph. And they seem like they would be the guys who would sit there and they enjoy their fans. They respect us. And when you do that, that comes through. And the
Yeah.
other key thing is these guys don't talk about what they do. Okay. Let's look at
Yes.
Hollywood. Hollywood is a big pat me on the back, right? Anytime Brie Larson does something, anytime any of these actors or actresses do something, they gotta, the publishers gotta put it out in the press. But you have these actors who have given away millions of dollars, and some actresses too, and have done these charities, and they don't want credit. They don't want their name out there. They just do it because it's the right thing to do. And once again, if you guys don't know and you're new, I'm a huge fan of Keanu Reeves. Check out my John Wick. I love Keanu Reeves. That man has given so much money away to charity. I don't
Mm.
even know how he still has a bank. Like, we're not talking about thousands of dollars. We're talking millions and millions of dollars Keanu Reeves
Mm.
has donated. Doesn't talk politics,
Yeah.
doesn't even talk about what his interest is as far as guys, girls. It's all a big mystery. I still don't know, but this is a guy who's very private, and Johnny Depp covering this strikes me as that kind of guy, even just in his statements where he's like, let's just keep this private. He's a private guy. He's a good guy. He's a private individual, and he doesn't want this stuff out because he's been in Hollywood long enough, and he knows the game, and he knows how
Yeah.
it works. And look, I see a lot of people saying Johnny's career is destroyed. Johnny Depp is a smart man. He's invested for years. Even say he doesn't get work again, he'll be all right. He's put aside money. And you've been covered this, I'm sure you know. He's had his ups and downs, so I'm sure after making a comeback from his drug binge days, he's gone, hey, should shit go wrong, I need
Yeah.
to build myself a safety net. I mean, he's got money squirreled away, but uh, and I respect him the most for this. It's not about the money or getting a role for him. It's
Nope.
about preserving his integrity. And
Yeah.
I've said this 1,000 times. If you're not guilty, then you should fight it. If you
Hmm.
have nothing to hide, if you are willing to put yourself out there because the truth and your dignity is more important, then that is what is important. Yep, I agree. Robert Downey Jr. is the same way, right? These
Yeah.
guys, that what people think of them and wanting them to know that they're decent individuals is very important. That's all they want. The validation that,
Yeah.
hey, I touch people with film and I'm a good guy. And when you have someone who comes and says, oh, you're an abuser, you do this, you do that, it's no longer about the money for Johnny Depp. It's about, hey, I take credit for my own sins. I did drugs. I drank. Those
Yeah.
are my mistakes. But I'm not taking credit for being a woman beater. That's not mine.
No. Yeah, exactly, mate. And that's 100% right, because, and he's, I've seen throughout, covering this, I've seen lawyers and various other people saying a couple of things, right? So some of them say, oh, he should, he shouldn't have bothered with these lawsuits because, with the UK one, he might only, even if he was to win, he might only get 75 grand or something like that. And then somebody else says, why doesn't he just write a statement? Because he's not being charged with anything. So why doesn't he just write a public statement that says that he denies everything? And the reason for it is exactly what you just said there, because he's innocent and he doesn't want to be have his name tarnished like this. He is a good person who has integrity, who has honor, and he's a moral person. He never did any of this. So that's the whole reason he's doing it. It's not for money. It's not just simply for publicity or, lack of publicity or whatever it is. It's because he wants to make sure that everybody knows that he is not a wife beater. Because remember, his kids were going to school, or his son was going to school, and other kids were saying to him, oh, your dad's a wife beater, huh? Your dad's a wife beater. So it wasn't just him that was affected by this. It was his kids as well. And also, what's so important about this, we talked about domestic violence victims before, and I've had a couple of male victims on my channel, domestic violence victims. And what's so important as well about this is that Johnny is shedding light on this topic for so many more people. There's so many more people becoming aware of these situations that are happening every single day, to guys out there and girls as well, to women as well. But, specifically for men who are out there. And I've had emails, like countless emails from guys out there who are going through a similar situation right now. And they're feeling like they can speak up a bit more now because Johnny's doing the same thing. And he's saying, this is what happened to me. And I'm not going to stand here and take all of this bullshit, all of these false accusations from someone who is actually abusing me. And so it's really important on so many different levels.
And I want to say too, that's a big thing that hits home for me. And hi everybody. I really appreciate the support for the channel. Just FYI, tweet out, share this link, share this with everyone, because look, if you haven't been on my channel, I'm covering a WWE story right now. And this personally involves my family, where my uncle was almost assaulted by a WWE exec. And I'm going to have the person who wrote the story on this. There's actually a news story on this. You can find stuff on YouTube, as a matter of fact. My dad is Lee Cole. Not going to say my name because I'm not going to dox myself, but let's just say the name is closely resembled. And my uncle is a victim of this. So when I hear these cases, it hits very close to home for me personally, because my uncle went through this situation of living with this. And my uncle works out. He's a big dude, but it doesn't matter how much you work out. It doesn't matter how strong you get. This is the type of thing that erects you from the inside, that tears you up emotionally. And I've had personal experiences where my name has been dragged through the mud for the sake of winning a battle in court. I've been made to look like this and that, and I served my country, and I seen a lot of shit. I did some shit I'm not proud of, and I've had a lot of struggles I've gone through personally, and then I get back and I have to do a court battle to get my daughter back. And I serve this country, and the court and the justice system still turns against me. And I protected the country. And, and it's like, just because of, in this supposedly progressive world, the more we say we're progressive, the less progressive we become, because now we're singling out one side and pretending that one side of this argument doesn't exist. We're pretending that the male side of this, or that there can't be male victims of violence, it doesn't exist because they're males, they're strong, they're whatever. Look, there is different levels of being hurt. My uncle's the strongest person I know. He benches like 300 pounds. All right. He's a big dude. Okay. But what it did emotionally and psychologically, you can't work out. You have to get over it in your own way. And in some cases, you never quite get over it. Anyone sexually abused guys or girls, anyone assaulted guy or girl, there's a different level of damage. And it is the psychological damage. And it doesn't matter what gender, what race, what color you are. That is something that you will universally feel the impact. That leads to people going to drugs, to people drinking, to people making poor choices. It's a catalyst for that stuff. And it really, this is the thing that really upsets me. And this is why I started looking into this and getting really invested, is because, Johnny, he is inspirational, because it's about time. I've waited for, since this Me Too has come out, I've waited for a guy to step up and say, hey, what about the other side of this argument? What about us? What about the people you're marginalizing? You're out here claiming that you don't want to marginalize everyone, but yet in the same breath, you're marginalizing males. Yeah. And in turn, you're marginalizing females, because you're getting these people who are claiming stuff that isn't true. So now you are essentially destroying both sides of the argument. And here's the asinine oxymoron of the whole thing. You're claiming you're representing and helping these people and damning them all in the same breath.
Yeah, exactly. it's all a contradiction. It's all a contradiction. And what it does when you know, fundamentally, the idea of hashtag Me Too, I agree with, right? People should be able to come forward and feel, feel free and open and unafraid to come forward, right? I agree with that premise. The problem is when you start getting into the, believe all women scenario, we can substitute the word women for any other word, men, children, whatever it is. Anytime you put the word all in front of that statement, it really puts you into and paints you into a corner and puts you into a position as that, as that progressive person. To now, doesn't matter whether the evidence is there. It doesn't matter if the evidence is overwhelmingly that this person is lying. You've said all. So that means you now need to believe all of whatever group that is. So in this case, women. So they're put into this, they're now painted into this corner. And even if they wanted to say, oh, no, this isn't actually true, they can't do that because they've said, oh, well, we believe all women. And so what that really should be is believe all evidence, believe all facts, believe all truth, not just believe all of someone's opinion, of someone's accusations, of somebody's made up story. It shouldn't be that. It should be all about the facts, evidence, and the truth.
Yeah, and you know what? I look here, guys. I have a beautiful daughter. She's in the house right now. I'm being a terrible father and on stream now. No, she knows her dad is online. And hopefully, well, I hopefully she doesn't listen to my streams, God. But she's 13. But I mean, I have a beautiful daughter, and look, if my daughter came to me and said that someone had abused her and hit her, I would be in that group where I'd be like, I'd probably beat the shit out of the person before getting the facts. Doesn't make me right, whatever else. I understand that it's someone's kid. There are certain situations where I understand that there are just some times where emotions get high. You can't necessarily not have a bias in it. I mean, from the family perspective, from the personal angle, I understand. But from the media angle, from the general coverage, they need the ones to be the ones being responsible and saying, okay, it is a Me Too, but it's Me Too for everybody, right? It's Me Too for what you said, that title, being abused. And someone said in the comments here, I believe it was Moonshade, they said abuse has no gender, it's abuse, right? It doesn't have a gender, it doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a creed, it's an action. And we shouldn't make a generalization based on these statistics and facts, because for every statistic you can put out there about female abuse, I guarantee you I can match it with abuse towards males. I mean, we don't got to go far. Go into the prison systems. You don't think that's abuse? You don't think males getting gang raped in a shower is not abuse? Then I don't. You got some obscure sense of view, because I mean, yeah, you could argue they put themselves there, but what about someone who robs a car? They end up in prison and then they get raped, they get beaten down and made someone's bitch. Are those guys less of an abuse victim because they're males? Does that not count? Right? I mean, there are several instances you can find male abuse. Look at males when they're kids. Everybody's a kid, right, Stevie? Everybody starts off as a kid. What about little boys being abused by priests, by maybe a father figure or their father? Dad gets drunk, comes home, slaps the kid around. Is that not abuse?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many instances you can't put it into a bubble.
And I think the really, what you said there is right. Talking about the statistics, and we there's a lot of statistics out there from the female point of view, and that's fine, of course. But what really hits me with all of this is, and why it's so important to be talking about it a lot, is there's so many men out there, and I've seen this, like I said, coming through in emails and private messages and stuff from people who are following the case as well, and who are victims going through it right now. But these guys, they don't ever speak up. So although we may have some statistics on male abuse, Where are all those people? What about all of those thousands and thousands, if not more, people out there who are going through this right now, guys, and they don't say anything? As in, I mean, literally sitting at home, not telling a single soul. So not reported. It's not a part of any statistic, anything like that. And I could guarantee you, if all of those people came forward and reported it, the statistics would just about be matched, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and I mean, look at it this way too. Okay, you have the same psychological tropes because I also did take psychology. Wow, I'm revealing a lot about myself today. Welcome everybody. You get a little bit of an insight. I don't get this deep into my own personal life, but I feel that if I'm going to give you guys facts, I want you guys to know where I'm coming from. So now let's take a look at something. If you put the psychological tropes, right, to what females go through, which is what they don't report it because they're scared, they're nervous, they think people aren't going to believe them, etc. Right now, let's flip that and use a male abuser. What's the same things? Males are raised to be strong, to be the provider, to be the person who's going to jump in the fight, defend their woman's honor, things like that. So, do you think that males who are brought up with this sense that they are the protector, they're the provider, we're the guys who got to shoulder the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we got to be the person that women can depend on, and that really, the world expects us to step up because we're male? You think that's not a lot of pressure on someone being abused? So you got a male sitting there being abused, and if he comes forward, he has to deal with the inverse. Oh, your woman beating you? Really? What are you, a
Mm.
fucking faggot? What are you, a sissy? You can't
Yeah.
sit there. You're letting this woman kick your ass? What's up with that? I mean, I've heard these arguments. I've literally sat in the room and watched people being berated like, oh, your woman's beating the shit out of you. Come on, bro. Get the fuck out of here with that. You know? So it's not
Yep.
just psychological on the female side. You can have that torment, that angst, the same thing a female would go through, right? That feeling no one's gonna believe you, no one's gonna listen to you, everyone's gonna degrade and demoralize you and question your honor, your integrity, your manhood, because society and general psychology and all these fucking brilliant people who don't know a thing about life come out and say, oh, this is the male role, this is the female role. And they lock us into these stereotypes, and they're the exact reason why you have victims on both sides, because we get put into these mindsets, we get put into this box. And so when you have a male sitting there like, what am I supposed to do if I come out with this? A, is someone even going to believe me, right? Take into account what the girl weighs, what her physical mass is, right? So like sitting there looking, are people going to believe me? Are people going to mock me? Are people going to think less of me because I'm supposed to be the provider, the defender, the guy bringing home the bacon, and now I'm coming going, yeah, this woman is
Yeah.
beating the shit out of me. And it's sad. It is so
Oh, it
sad,
is.
and and it's demoralizing. And it's the same reason, because I can guarantee you, if you were to take two male and female complaints and reasonings of why they didn't come forward, I bet you
Mhm.
they'd be the same. I would put down any amount of money that it would be similar wording
Yeah.
for why they didn't come forward
Very
to
similar.
a
I
T.
think you're right. Yeah. Very similar. But it's so interesting, talking about this. And I suppose to summarize for me, it's we shouldn't have or what we have is we don't have all men are bad or all women are bad. It is there are bad people. There are just bad people. Unfortunately, I wish there wasn't, but there is just bad people, and that's why you can't look at all women, all men, anything like that. You just have to look at the person and base it on the person themselves. Like, is this person, doesn't matter about their gender, are they a good person or are they a bad person? Are they doing something illegal, or are they doing something not illegal? Guilty, innocent, all of that stuff. You have to just look at the person. You can't just be saying because of this guy's a male. Well, he obviously isn't telling the truth. Like, he's come forward about this abuse, but he's obviously not telling the truth because he's a male. I mean, that's just really That's just really disgusting to me. And it, in some places in the world, and I feel really, really good about where I live right now, because I was watching a video on Spain, and Spain is crazy, because if you're a woman in Spain, you can get your husband, partner, any male, actually, you can get them put in prison for something as frivolous as complaining about a crossword you did. And I am absolutely not exaggerating. I was watching this show on it, and so a man, actually got imprisoned for flatulence. So because he farted, she went to a judge and he went to prison. I am
That
not exaggerating. I am not
that
exaggerating
that
at all.
is that is so crazy. And I remember growing up in the 90s and hearing these terrible stories, right? And I remember thinking at the beginning, this is of the Me Too, that I wasn't leaning on one side or the other, but just thinking this is good because we'll get more victims out there. They actually have, oh God, I hate to use this and forgive me, chat, but they actually have a platform, Jesus Christ, to come out and to voice their stories. And I thought my understanding of this was I thought it was going to be for everyday people. And Hollywood hijacked it and made it for everyday celebrities who, at best, you can throw a stick and find a dishonest person in Hollywood, right? That's done some fucked up shit. But
Yeah.
it was supposed to be for the victim. And here's the problem with these causes. And I've talked about this with BLM and everything else. The cause itself is not the problem. It's who's controlling the cause, and like you said earlier, who controls the narrative, especially in 2020, is the most important thing these days. And it's sad because you marginalize the victim. You're
Mm.
no longer you've taken a good cause, you've taken a good idea, and you've turned it into something terrible. And I mean, we can go back through history. You can talk about fascism, right? Fascist, the concept isn't bad, but the people controlling it is what made it bad. Socialism, all of that stuff. These aren't bad concepts on paper. On paper, it works. But like you
Mm.
said, there's an element that you have to take into effect, and it's people, and it's people's greed, and it's people's pension to want focus on themselves. And that's where you take the spotlight off the victim and you start making it about the dog and pony show. And it's really sad because you have these victims in dark corners sitting there feeling hopeless, thinking they have a ray of light, and then you've hijacked it. And now, you know, victims have social media and stuff too. They can read tweets and stuff. Now they're seeing all this stuff about these people coming out who made false statements, and they're like, well, shit, what if I say my story? And now, because of what actress A, B, and C did, no one believes me. Because look at all these tweets. Look at what people are saying.
Yeah.
Social media has made things good, but it's made things bad too. Because now, these causes get highlighted by these fucking weirdos and they get hijacked. And now
Yep.
it's not about the victim. It's not about the victim. It's about carrying the banner. It's about carrying the name. And who cares about the person suffering in the corner crying at night? And it's disgusting. And this is just another example. I mean, Johnny right now is falling into two very unfortunate classes. He's being hit by this Me Too nonsense, and he's being hit by the cancel culture because of the WB thing, right? So we got two things working against stars. And if stars weren't such douchebags, I'd almost feel bad for them, because now you have to not only deal with cancel culture, where if you just say you're a Christian, they want to cancel you. You can't even say you don't care about politics, nothing, because they'll cancel you. And on top of that, you're being accused of being an abuser. Oh shit, you're done.
Yep.
And it's sad. It's so sad for people like Johnny Depp, who are good. They're probably the last bastion of hope for Hollywood. And I'm not over exaggerating. These guys are the last.
Yeah.
They're,
Oh,
they're like
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. That's why I'm so. That's why I'm so invested in this, because I just I really do see this as such an important case on all of those levels I talked about before. Because you know, Johnny Depp. It's almost as if Johnny Depp, with all of his resources, with all of his, I guess star power is not really the right word I want to use, but with all of his influence, if he can't, be exonerated from these false accusations, then I really, really feel bad for anyone else, because how's anyone else going to have a chance? And, there's not much I can do. There's not much I can do to help, but just having conversations with people, right? Having conversations with people and shedding the truth and spreading the truth and making sure everybody gets a chance to see what actually happened between the two of them is all I can do. And if I can do that and we can get some more people to support Johnny Depp, then that's great. And I did see before somebody posted in the chat that the Aquaman 2 petition is now up to 547,000. So that means it's gone up by 50,000 signatures in the last 6 days, which is just amazing.
You know
Absolutely
what else
amazing.
is amazing too? Uh, Normally I have a problem with these wacky blue-haired freaks on the other side, right? You and me know, the crazed individuals talking about progression and all this stuff, but they've even turned. I mean, even when you have two opposite sides that are both pissed off at someone, it's bad, because I've gone to the pages of some other people who I vastly agreed with what they post. But when you
Yeah.
have two sides of this argument coming together and going, oh, wait a second, this person is so detest that two sides are uniting to say, yeah, she's got to go, then
Yeah.
it really screams to the fault that we have within these movements. And we need to get rid of these movements in general. And I'm not saying that they're bad and that, whatever else, but what they've turned into is not what they were meant to be. We need to hit the reset button. We need to stop using labels, and we need to start calling out the symptoms, right? You can
Mm.
say the person is this, this, and this, but we got to know the symptoms of the disease to cure it. We should be going after the root cause, not, not just making this label and putting everybody underneath it. We need to go after it case by case basis, analyze the facts from all sides, and then discern what the truth is, because that's what justice is. That's what it's supposed to be. What is that thing you always see when you go into courts? It's that statue with a blindfold on and the scales. It's the scales of justice. She is blind because she does not look at the person for race, popularity, gender, none of that. She has the scales for the truth. And you put them on both sides, and whatever side comes out heavier, that's the side she goes with. Justice is supposed to be blind. And the
Yeah.
sad part is people have forgotten that. They want
Yep.
to put labels on.
Well, and the blindfold now appears to be a blindfold so that justice is unable to see the evidence. Like that. That's what it seems like. I'm just going to put this blindfold on so I can't see any of the evidence that's presented here. But you're right. You're 100% right, mate. We need to strip away all the things that have been added on to the Me Too movement and to all these other things. Just strip all that away, because really, in essence, what it's all about is people. We need to be just being good people ourselves, and we need to support other people. So to strip away all of that other trash, all that other garbage, and what are you left with? You're left with, okay, good people will help other good people. Good people will help others in need, and that's all we need. That's it. Nobody, like most people, and I'd say most because obviously there are evil people out there, but most people by default are willing to help others. Most people by default are willing to help others. And so this whole idea that we need a specific program or a specific hashtag for all of one gender or all of one group is is silly to me. I mean, and that's why I support Johnny Depp and I support this case in general, because it's just about making sure that justice is served and that the truth is out there, because the mainstream media will never talk about it honestly. And somebody mentioned as well, sorry, I just got to bring this up because somebody else mentioned in my in the chat there about the charity stream that I'm doing next week. So that is one thing that I guess I can do. I'm doing a charity stream next week to Johnny Depp's preferred charity that he donates to. So yeah, that'll be something, I guess. Give back, and it's really cool because somebody's already donated to the page already, which is great. But that's one small thing that I can do, I guess.
And you know what, Stevie? I just wanted to say, really, this article that I came across was the catalyst, but I'm really glad that we were able to tackle this today because right now, I'm actually in the middle of my own battle. Next weekend, I'm gonna have an insider from the WWE talking about the rampant sexual abuse of 8-year-old boys in the WWF,
Wow.
them hiring these kids and grooming them, just hardcore grooming, like the definition of a predator grooming. And that's personal to me. But when I heard this, it kind of falls into that umbrella, and it falls into a different umbrella, and that's victims of abuse. And I've sort of gotten into this mindset where, like, I have a daughter. You and me both have kids. We know what it's like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I want to start putting some of this stuff on my channel, just like with the politics I started diving into and things like that, because these are the things in the world that are so important that,
Mm.
they seem to be, this side seems to be taking and twisting and corrupting, and we're forgetting about the people. And it really hurts me to know that there's these kids out here, there's guys out here, there's all sorts of these victims that are going through this, and no one is speaking up. And look, I only have 405 subs now, but if I can get my 400 people to listen, you can get what you're up to 2K. You make me sick. I'm so sad that no, but no, you deserve it, mate. Um, if if you can get your audience, and if I can even get my audience to sit here and bring these people to light, and to get some of these other people to come in and talk about it. Like, my uncle hasn't talked about this shit for years. He's going to come on and talk about it. I want people to be able to come on and state what happened and let the world know that there are other people who suffer, that
Yeah.
we need to stop caring about the hashtag. We need to care about the people involved. And I'm just really glad that you were able to give me even more depth to this story, because um I would love to cover more of this stuff on my channel. I would love to have you on more, and to have these serious talks, because I think that they need to happen, and I don't think enough people are. I mean, if we can get us to talk about it, if we can get other YouTubers aware of this, if we could just use God, I hate to quote Brie Larson, but if we could use this as a platform for once to get out a positive message and not
Mm.
an all about me thing. But I mean, if we can use it to reach more people, then, at least we bring awareness up. Look, we talk movies, right? What's the one thing that gets a movie famous? Before the trailer, well, the trailer is involved, but we've talked about this. How have some movies gotten popular when they didn't hit in the box office?
I can't remember what we talked about. Sorry.
God, we're getting old. Word of mouth, man. I can't remember what movie we were talking about, but we brought up the fact that word of mouth got things
Mm.
out there, and it got a movie famous. If you can get
Yeah.
a movie famous off of talking about it, then why can't we bring to light things that are happening by talking about them, and not being mean, not being hateful, but bringing out the
Yeah. Yeah.
facts and the truth?
Absolutely,
You
mate. I
know?
tell you, well, the more people, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what size channel you have, right? So, like, you you got your 400-ish. So
Yep.
that umbrella guy's got his 100,000. Incredibly Average has got 50,000. And then I went on.
Mahler's covered it.
Yeah, and I went on to another channel the other day to check out her videos. She was doing some Johnny Depp videos. She's got 20 subscribers, and so I went over there and checked that video out, and commented on her video and stuff, and thanked her for doing the coverage. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it's 20 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers, 100,000. It doesn't matter. The more people that talk about it, the more it's going to get out there, and the more help there's going to be for not just Johnny Depp and his plight, what he's going through at the moment, but for other victims or potential victims in the future. It's going to help all of those things. So absolutely, 100%.
And you know what? I'm gonna start winding things down because I gotta be a good dad. Go ahead and spend some time with my daughter. But I really appreciate this. You and me always seem to have these deep conversations every time. I mean,
Yeah.
even if we're just talking about movies, you're a great fan. You're a great friend here in the fandom zone. You're a key member of our bridge crew. If you guys don't know, that's our crew that talks at night. Time zones make it hard, but you're a really good guy. So definitely,
Thanks, mate.
put down
You
in
too.
the chat that charity you got going on, and go ahead and promote anything you got coming up and all that.
Yeah, I will, mate. Well, yeah. So we've got the charity stream next week, which will be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. US Eastern time. And what it basically is, I'll be having some like other YouTubers that are covering Johnny Depp on as guests. I'm trying to get there's a few more I'm still working on, but I've got some really good guests lined up already, which will be awesome. And it really, at the end of the day, it's just about sharing and raising awareness for what's going on with Johnny Depp, but also with everybody else who might be going through something similar, giving something back. And look, the aim of it is to have a little bit of fun. Like, I am going to have a serious side. There's going to be some victims joining me as well. But it's going to be, the idea is that let's have a little bit of fun. People can donate. It's to a really, really good cause. It's to the Great Ormond Street Hospital in London, which is where Johnny Depp's daughter was in a bad way in 2007. And since then, Johnny Depp has always supported them, whether it be visiting as Captain Jack Sparrow or donating large amounts of money to that hospital. That's one of his preferred charities. So that's where it's going to go to. I've put the website there in the chat. So it's open and available now if anybody wants to go and check it out. You don't have to donate, but it's all there. And it's going through a host website because, for full transparency, I don't want to be handling the money. It just goes straight through there, straight to the hospital. So anyways, that's what I have going on at the moment.
All right, yeah, and you know what? I really appreciate it, and sir, you're just awesome. We've always been friends. We bonded over Game of Thrones. If you guys don't kind of know a little fun history fact, Stevie was one of the first people that me and PB started this Game of Thrones. We called it because the last season of Game of Thrones was atrocious. And Stevie was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fan. I got some things to say." And you could go back through the episodes and watch. And we broke down everything, and that's where we kind of bonded. But then me and Stevie also realized we're big cinema addicts, and we can look at things from a technical aspect, and we've got some reviews together, and it's just always great to have you on. You got a good heart, and it's just wonderful that you're actually not just sitting here and saying, "Oh, let's bring awareness," but you're doing something about it, and you're donating to charity is just outstanding, man. I wish I had the kind of fundraising skills to do that, but I think that's fantastic, and I think that should definitely be passed around. And also too, tonight, if you guys, you don't have to be a fan of Trump, you don't have to be a fan of Biden, okay? My chats are for everyone's opinions. If you guys want to talk about the voter fraud, and I'm using air quotes, that is going on here, or the suspicious voting activities, we have And this is not something I'm pulling from thin air. My dad comes on here. He is big into politics. He has actual documents backing up some very suspicious voting activity and possibly voting fraud that's being committed as we speak. Um, and even people who are on the other side are noticing it, that it's quite suspicious that we go to bed and then all of a sudden the fucking votes just go the other way. And, poof, like magic, all these votes come out of nowhere. And I'm doing air quotes, they're mail-in votes, horse shit. But anyways, I am going to dive deep and we are going to provide you not just with hearsay that the media is doing. We are going to show you guys some facts, some people who've came out and talked about the eras in the electoral voting, some things that are suspicious. We're going to lay it all down for you, and I'm going to let you guys as an audience decide what is fact and what is fiction. And I'm just going to present the evidence, and I'm going to let you guys determine what you think is right or wrong and what smells off, because all of it doesn't smell too good. We're looking at quite possibly in American history one of the biggest scams pulled, and I'm really hoping that all of this is brought to light. Right now, you're hearing a lot of things in the media, but they're scared because what they're pulling out right now, and the media can't suppress it. It's too damning. But some of the stuff that they're bringing to light doesn't look good for the other side. And I'm going to lay out the facts for you guys, and you guys can all come and talk about it. Let us know what you think. And also, every Friday night, you get to see the lighthearted side. I have late night talks. It's at midnight. Me, Pop Culture PB, Cybernetic Husky, we talk about entertainment. We bring up these ridiculous articles, and we have a good laugh. Yesterday, we talked about how they called The Mandalorian Season 2 racist because the Tusken Raiders are an allegory for the Indians. Stevie, is that not the stupidest thing? They called the Tusken Raiders a marginalized group on Inverse Magazine because they can't, the ratings are so good and the critics love it so much, they can't attack this show with anything else but the first episode being racist against the fucking Tuskens. I can't make this up.
Yeah, I don't. That's just ridiculous, mate. Well, there's nothing else to say. Like, that is just dumb.
I wanted to have you on the show because I can only imagine what your look would have been and what you would have said about it.
It's a fictional group. Hello, it's a fictional group. So, anyway, yeah, that's just ridiculous.
So yeah, go back through the show. PB is a huge Star Wars fan. He just goes off. It's hilarious. I talk about how they confirmed Lashana Lynch as James Bond. She's not the new Bond going forward. She's just the sub-in for the real Bond, I'm going to call him. And that whole fiasco, I talk about just various other topics. I cover Johnny Depp in the beginning. I give you my very unabashed opinion and kind of what fueled me to have this discussion with Stevie, and how I'm so sick of this attack on good people in Hollywood. So, I mean, if you enjoy good satire, witty humor, join us on the late nights every Friday at midnight. You can see us there. To everybody who's watching, man, we were up to almost 30 people. Thank you so much, all of you. I really I can't tell you how touched I am that people wanted to come on here, that you all were respectful. You voiced your opinions. I really, I love it. I appreciate all of the audience that I get. I'm sorry if I didn't go through all of your comments. I'm not used to having that many people coming through. I'm sure I'll get used to it, but I appreciate all your guys' comments and adding on to the discussion. And thank you so much. You guys are wonderful. And I'm gonna have to do it, Stevie. But as always, remember the only rule here in the fandom zone: kneel before General Zod.